he was a quiet man. Been called a just man by priests before. He was kind of a Saint Joseph in that respect. He's not prone to talk, likes to be in the background, but always in the background looking for ways to help and to serve. So that said, he was very driven. He was determined. I don't think you get your master's in actuary science by by just sitting around. So he was driven, motivated. Loved flying, but in one sense he was a people person because he loved people, and he was that type of person where you were the only one in the room, right? And he had this infectious smile that people were just drawn to him, and whether or not it was adults or youth. I mean, he worked a lot with youth because he coached all his sons in sports and volunteered to coach other times. But he was a man of faith. Him and Mom's faith was paramount. It was the priority, and that kind of fed everything. And so generally he was pretty even keel. I think if you wanted to fire my dad up, you would say something disrespectful to my mom, which unfortunately growing up we did. And we heard very quickly, what did you just say to your mother? And go to your room and wait for me. The other thing that kind of would fire Dad and Mom up is if you mess with their faith, and if you messed with the education of their sons, especially the Catholic education of their sons. They believe very strongly in not only education but formation, and so if they heard something from the pulpit that didn't jive with what their understanding of the Catholic Church was, or their kids were getting taught something, that would kind of rile them up as parents, because they took that role as the teachers and the educators, primarily of the faith, as parents, very seriously. Otherwise, I mean, Dad, and he loved to laugh, loved to have the family around. Didn't have to be, like I said, the center of attention, but loved to kind of sit back and observe. Sometimes when the families would have barbecues in the summer or go on vacation, he would just be sitting in an armchair just laughing his head off, but totally fine. He just loved to watch the family interact. I'm sure it gave him and Mom a sense of pride. Just a joyful, humble servant who was also very talented. And he's one of these guys, he could fix anything. He gave great advice. A lot of people went to him for advice for all different things, whether or not it was career or relationship, athletics. But at the same time, one of the virtues a lot of people talk about is his humility, is he would never brag about it. I've even talked with pilots that flew with him, and they just said, he was a very good pilot, but you would never know it, and he wouldn't tell it to you. He was just a humble man, and also he I think another characteristic as a father, right, and this is one of my friends, is he was not going to put limitations on Joseph, who had Down syndrome. And looking back, I think that's kind of what he strove to with all his sons also, is he was not going to be the one in certain areas. Obviously, when it came to character development, there were limitations or discipline. But other than that, he wasn't going to be the one imposing those limitations on his sons. And so, growing up on a farm, playing sports, all boys, there was an element of risk, a healthy risk, so to speak. So